A very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. I'm Vidushni Sadish Kumar.
Good evening, I'm Clifford Richards. First of all, we take a look at the headlines.
The blaze aboard the new diamond vessel extinguished. The fishing community advised to refrain from setting out to sea until noon tomorrow. The founder of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna states that the expectation of the people was to vest the president with responsibility and power. The United National Party marks its 74th anniversary.
In your local stories this evening, the Met Department forecasts wind speeds to increase up to 70 kilometers per hour over the deep and shallow sea areas around the island until up to 12 noon tomorrow. The fishing community are discouraged from venturing out to sea in one-day and small-sized fishing vessels during this period. Intermittent showers or thunder showers are forecast in the sea areas around the island, whilst heavy falls are expected in the deep and shallow sea areas to the west and southwest of the island. The weather advisory issued by the Met Department states that winds blowing across the island from the southwest could increase from 45 to 55 kilometers per hour up to 70 kilometers per hour. Roughness at sea can be experienced in both the deep and shallow sea areas around the island. The naval and fishing communities are advised to be extremely vigilant as fishing in such rough waters is unsafe. Meanwhile, the Met Department forecasts the prevailing showery condition to continue, with certain areas expected to receive a heavy rainfall exceeding 150 millimeters of rain. Fairly strong intermittent winds of up to 50 to 60 kilometers per hour can be expected over the island. As a result of heavy rains experienced in the Badulla and surrounding areas this evening, the Hali-Ala Kandegedera road was rather inundated, obstructing vehicular traffic for about an hour.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa states that the lead role played by the late former Minister Chandrasiri Gajadhira was highly significant in rehabilitating and also integrating into society cadres of the most ruthless terrorist organization in the world. The Premier made this comment attending the first year commemoration of the late former minister at Oyanwatta grounds in Mathura today. Representing the Communist Party, the late Chandrasiri Gajadhira entered politics from the Mathura district in 1988 as a councillor of the Mathura Urban Council. He entered Parliament in 1994 and functioned in ministerial and deputy ministerial roles. Addressing the commemoration, the Premier said that the late former Minister Chandrasiri Gajadhira never sought portfolios and positions. The Premier further stated that the late former minister represented intellectual politics in the country and was a politician who made great sacrifices to protect democracy amidst terror. The Premier added that the late Chandrasiri Gajadhira did not regard his intellectual capacity as an ornament but worked for the betterment of the country. The Premier called to mind that at the time when the war was ended, the late former minister held the cabinet portfolio of prisons and rehabilitation and was entrusted with the task of rehabilitating, and that's around 13,000 LTT cadres. The Premier noted that as a subject minister, the late minister successfully completed the task rehabilitating the former terrorist cadres, integrating them into society.
යුද්ධ ඉවර වෙන කාලෙ වෙනකොට බන්ධනාගාර පුනරුත්ථාපන ඇමති එතුමාට බාර වුණා මේ රටේ 13000ක් පමණ වන LTT සමාජිකයන් පුනරුත්ථාපනය කරන්න. එතුමාගේ කාලය තුල කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් ඇති වුණේ නැති විදියට 13000. The commemoration was also attended by Minister Dallas Salah Peruma, State Minister Kanchana Wijayasekara, Parliamentarians Veerasumana Veerasinghe, Nipuna Ranawaka and former Minister Dewgunasekara, Northwestern Provincial Governor Raja Kollure and family members of the late former Minister Chandrasiri Gajadhira.
Speaker Mahinda Abewardena states that he is not prepared to let his decisions be influenced by commotions in Parliament. Speaking at a ceremony held in Mathura, the Speaker stated that all parliamentarians should be enabled to express their views However, commotion should not have an effect on decision making.
තවුන්නාසල දැක පහුගිය කාලේ විවිධ ගැටලු පාර්ලිමේන්තුව ඇතුළේ ඇති වුණා. ඒ හැම දෙයක්ම ඇති වුණේ හැම മന്ത്രിවරයාටම හැමෝටම හිතුණා.
Speaker Mahinda Abeyewardene said that during the recent past, several issues transpired in Parliament alleging injustices caused to certain parliamentarians. The Speaker stated that the parliamentarian voted for the 19th Amendment with the impression that the constitutional amendment will be progressive. Speaker Abeyewardene alleges that, however, the intended result was not received, and considering the harm caused, it is necessary to change the amendment. The Speaker stated that this has been the opinion of the people, and this is why the government received a large majority.
ඒක උනේ නැහැ කියලා කියනවා. ඉතින් ඒක උනේ නැති නිසා තමයි දැන් මේක වෙනස් කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා ජනමතයක් රටේ ඇති වෙලා. තමුන්නාසල තමයි කිව්වේ ඒක වෙනස් කරන්න. ඒ අනුව තමයි මේ රජයේ විශාල බලයක්.
Chairman of the Presidential Task Force on Economic Restoration and Poverty Alleviation, Basil Rajapaksa, states that the expectation of the people was to vest the president with responsibility and power. He says that this expectation of the people is clear when considering the results of the presidential and parliamentary elections. These views were expressed during an observational visit carried out at a tyre factory in Kurunagala area. The tyre factory is significant since it utilizes locally produced latex as a raw material. The tyres produced at this factory are mainly used in agro equipment and machinery, whilst they are also used for vehicles deployed in the construction sector and airport cargo transformation. And also the objective of this factory is to enhance production to meet the local tyre demand.
ඔය ජනතා බලය දුන්නේ එතුමාටනේ දායක ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමය තියෙනවා නම් ඒ ක්‍රමය යටතේ අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ජනාධිපතිතුමාට වගකීමයි බලයයි දෙකම ලබා දෙන්න තමයි ජනතාව අපේක්ෂාව.
So Sri Lankan Navy states that the fire aboard the New Diamond fuel tanker has been fully extinguished. Navy Commander Vice Admiral Nishant Ulugithanna, however, states that due to the windy condition in the area, the risk of the fire re-erupting prevails. A 10-member team of experts from UK and also the Netherlands arrived in the island this morning to carry out the next course of operations pertaining to the vessel. This empty New Diamond, which is registered with the government of Panama, set sail from Mina Al Ahmadi port in Kuwait on the 23rd of last month, heading for the Haradi port in Odisha in India with a cargo of 270,000 metric tons of crude oil. En route, the vessel reported a fire occurring in its engine room while sailing at 37 nautical miles in the sea area of the coast of Sangamankanda on the 4th of this month. Thereafter, the vessel moved to the sea area of around 20 nautical miles to the proximity of the coast. Therefore, utilizing tugboats, the Blaze vessel was towed 42 nautical miles away into a deep sea area. The Sri Lankan Navy with other units engaged in the firefighting operations are spraying water and the relevant extinguishing chemicals to create a cool surrounding. The Navy, however, reports that the blaze has been fully extinguished. Navy Commander Vice Admiral Nishant Ulugithanna stated that although the fire has been doused completely due to the temperature on the surface of the vessel, there is a risk of the fire erupting again. The Navy Commander, however, said that this cannot be stated definitely as windy conditions could contribute to a fire igniting. The Sri Lanka Air Force states that deploying a Bell 212 type helicopter, 1,000 kilos of fire extinguishing dry powder was sprayed onto the vessel.
Aerial reconnaissance aircraft, white whale and Beechcraft, and at the same time we use the Mi-17 helicopter for the firefighting continuously. So till today evening we have conducted 176 Bambi bucket operations, which this equipment can carry 2,500 liters of water at once. We will be continuing our aerial reconnaissance duties to collect the current situation and update the authorities. So from tomorrow onwards also. And if there's a requirement, so we have one Bell 212 aircraft standby at Air Force Station Ampara. That is for the rescue purposes. If there's any the people who are engaged in this operation, if there's any requirement, we have an aircraft to send the personnel or the equipment. So this is basically there were two flying squadrons involved in this operations. Was number 3 Maritime Squadron from Air Force Academy China Bay and number 6 Helicopter Squadron from Air Force Base Anuradhapura, which Mi-17 helicopter operates used to do the firefighting. And today we got the assistance of number 7 helicopter squadron, that is Bale 212, used to drop these chemical from the air.
The rescue operation continued even in the midst of increased wind speeds and roughness at sea. New Shipping, which is the commercial owner of the new diamond based in Athens in Greece, has arranged for the SMIT Singapore International Private Institution to act as a rescue partner. Meanwhile, a special discussion was held at the Attorney General's Department regarding legal action to be initiated against the new diamond vessel. The discussion was attended by representatives of New Diamond Shipping Company and its partners in Sri Lanka. Well, we see footage of the discussion between the Attorney General's Department at the Legal Division.
And still the smoking is coming up, and the dry chemical powders has worked really well. Because earlier we used some seawater and even some foams, but now the usage of this dry chemical powder, it really worked, and the fire has almost now gone. But still, yeah, we see the smoking coming out. But with the time, at least in the next 2-3 days, I think the heat also will slowly dissolve, and the ship will be in a situation. But now we have a ship complete, fully loaded with 207,000 crude oil, and ship is now deceased, bird ship. And ship's integrity is a bit questionable, and therefore now our next step is to how to avoid the second threat, that's the threat of oil spill or possible disaster. For that now discussions are going on between Sri Lanka Merchant Shipping Department, Ministry of Environment, and again the ship owner and Sri Lankan agent of the ship owner, and the insurance company and Sri Lankan agent of the insurance company. Those discussions are anyway going on. I think they will decide what are the next steps to be taken to take the ship away from our coast and make our Sri Lankan waters a safer place. The Attorney General, he instructed me to go to the site and collect all the possible water samples and check the pollution level that caused by the fire extinguishing operation, and by again with the possible light oil spill happen in this area. So therefore MIPA will dispatch a team tomorrow to the scene, and will collect all the data, and we will come with the pollution report within a couple of days' time.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa extends his appreciation to all firefighting units for their efforts to contain the blaze. The Premier's office, issuing a statement, points out that it is extremely commendable to note that a joint rescue operation was put into effect with the contribution of the staff of 6 vessels of the Indian Navy and Coast Guard, together with the Sri Lankan Navy and also the Air Force. You're watching Rupavahini News, and we are now joined by the Sri Lankan Navy media spokesman, Captain Indika De Silva. Thank you very much, Captain, for joining us. And the entire nation's commendation is with you and also all the other firefighting units for your valiant effort. And right now, thank you very much for joining us, and we want you to elaborate on the current situation. What's the latest situation, Captain?
Yeah, thank you, Danushka. And right now, the vessel lies about 30 nautical miles east of Sangaman Kanda Point, and the fire is completed out, as you previously mentioned. Yet, the units engaged in this operation are still on location, and they are continuing with the cooling effect on the ship's hull. Of course, with not the intensity it was used to be, and right now we are experiencing pretty unfavorable climatic conditions, and wind flow is a little high. Yet everything is under control, and with the completion of dousing of the fire, we are expecting the Indian specialist from the Indian Coast Guard to get on board and do their search first. Thereafter, the next stage will begin. Even though the critical stage has now over, the bigger part is yet to come.
Thank you, Captain. You mentioned that the critical stage is over, but due to the inclement weather, bad weather conditions, is there a threat or a risk of the fire re-erupting? Because we are talking of a huge volume of crude oil aboard the ship.
There was a concern about the reignition of the fire because we had these hot iron plates surrounded by unburned combustible materials, and with supporting it with the flow of wind. But we believe that we will be capable enough to take it under control if it happens. Sri Lanka Navy and the other units are on high alert to respond promptly.
Thank you very much, Captain. That was Navy media spokesman Captain Indika De Silva joining us live on the news.
Well, in other stories now, in today's special segment Red Light, we focus on the residents of the Mitotamulla area who are adversely affected due to a shortage of pipe-borne water. The residents you see now are families residing along Pereira Mawatha in Mitotamulla. They are not collecting water in this manner in preparation for a water cut. This is the daily routine of 139 families in this area, as water is available to them only in the early hours of the morning. How unfortunate is it for these residents to be faced with such inconvenience even after settling their water bills on time? The area residents question as to when the attention of the relevant officials will be received to ensure that a satisfactory service is provided. This is for the attention of the Ministry of Water Supply.
And moving on with more local stories, St. Carlo Borromeo's Church at Villoravatta in Moratuwa was declared open after renovations by the Archbishop of Colombo, His Eminence Malcolm Cardinal Ranjit today. Well, the church was initially constructed way back in 1896. In 1996, the front end of the church collapsed and its reconstruction work commenced in 2017. The reconstructed church was vested with the faithful today. The church celebrates 125 years next year. The All Ceylon Egg Suppliers Association has decided to reduce the price of eggs by 2 rupees from tomorrow. This decision has been taken by them in response to a request made by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa. A meeting between officials of the All Ceylon Egg Suppliers Association and also the Prime Minister took place at the Tangol Carlton residence yesterday. Thereby, upon a decision taken at the meeting, a white egg will be sold for 18 rupees, whilst a red egg will be sold for 18 rupees and 50 cents from tomorrow. President of the All Ceylon Egg Suppliers Association, Sarat Ratnayaka, says that although production cost is high, they decided to reduce the price of eggs in response to the concessions granted by the Prime Minister and the government. The Northeastern Province Egg Suppliers Association stated that 70% of the overall eggs produced are distributed by their association, and they're prepared to carry out distributions under the reduced prices. The association pointed out that the reason for eggs to be sold at high prices is because the price of chicken is around 350 rupees. Therefore, they requested the Premier to bring down the price of chicken to 175 rupees. The Premier contacted the Minister of Agriculture Mahindanand Gamage and State Minister D.B. Herat and brought the matter to their attention, advising them to take necessary steps.
Well, on other stories, the police have initiated a special investigation into the police constable attached to the Colombo Crimes Division who was arrested in Tamil Nadu with the objective of ascertaining as to whether the constable in question has associated with large-scale drug smugglers and organized criminals. The Indian Coast Protection Police at Rameshwaram arrested the suspect last night when he attempted to illegally enter the country from the Dhanushkodi coast. The suspect is reportedly wanted in connection with transporting 23 kilos of heroin to the Sabgaskanda area. Tamil Nadu police had yesterday launched a search operation upon a tip-off received that narcotics, illegal gold and other items are being smuggled from Sri Lanka across international maritime borders. The police constable in question, who is a resident of Mana by the name Pradeep Kumar Bandar Naika, aged 30, was arrested during this operation. The Valana Crimes Prevention Division today raided an illicit brewery carried out in Coconut Estate under the pretext of running a poultry farm. Goda concealed in several 50,000-litre water tanks was found at the location, at which a suspect was arrested, and 8 tanks, 48 sacks of sugar, 75 kilos of ammonium and 100 packets of yeast were seized by the police. The illicit brew was reportedly filled into cans through underground pipelines and secretly transported. 8 individuals suspected of carrying out illegal excavations in search of artifacts were arrested by the Porasankulam police. The police seized equipment used by the suspects and 2 motor cars. 3 cannabis cultivations in the Balaharua area in Koslanda were raided by the Udavalva Police Special Task Force personnel. 3 arrests were made. The United National Party marked its 74th anniversary under the patronage of party leader Ranil Wickremesinghe at the party headquarters, Sirikota, today. The United National Party is regarded as the oldest right-wing political party in the country. The party was established on the 6th of September 1946 by Mahamanya D.S. Senanayake. The UNP, which has governed the country on many occasions, currently faces a crisis brought about by a leadership contest, resulting in the party obtaining just 1 national list seat in parliament at the recent general election. The 74th anniversary comes as various views on the leadership crisis are being voiced within and outside the party. Today's anniversary event was not open to the media, and celebrations were reportedly held in a solemn manner. Deputy General Secretary of the United National Party, former parliamentarian Ruwan Vijay said the party anticipates arriving at a decision in consultation with all members, ensuring that unity prevails amongst them. He further stated that most probably a decision will be reached within the course of next week. Responding to questions put forward by journalists on the party leadership and the Ruwan Vijay candidacy, the former MP stated that he has the potential to hold the portfolio of party leader, and since he has supporters throughout the country, he entered the contest.
On a racing note, we end the news. Do enjoy the rest of the program. Take care and good night.
Good night.